Since week one, the New Orleans Saints have fired on all cylinders. Drew Brees has his team off to a perfect 7-0 start. But a familiar foe comes to New Orleans this week, Carolina. And under John Fox in the Bayou State, perfection as well. It is a sellout crowd. It is a raucous crowd at the Superdome in New Orleans for this NFC South matchup as the 3-4 Carolina Panthers come to town to take on the 7-0 New Orleans Saints. And hi again, everybody, alongside the coach, Brian Billick. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to the NFL on Fox. When your division rivals, Brian, you play twice a year. You know each other so very, very well. But in terms of style of play, these two teams couldn't be at further opposite ends of the spectrum.
No, they couldn't. Now, to start with New Orleans, they're a legitimate 7-0, and for a lot of reasons. They're the most balanced team in the National Football League. Now, they've thrown the ball well here since the day Drew Brees showed up. But they've added a solid running game, a top-rated running game, and with the addition of defensive coordinator Greg Williams, they're playing solid defense, actually leading the league in a couple key areas like third down conversions and turnovers. Now, for Carolina, they're playing John Fox football, at least for the last month. Good defense, and they're running the ball. They laid 270 yards on the Arizona Cardinals last week. What interests me, Tom, this is the most confident 3-4 team I think I've ever seen. John Fox has not lost in this state as a head coach, and he's 5-1 against his good buddy Sean Payton. I'm going to be fascinated to see what he's got in store for him today.
It should be very interesting to watch as this one gets started. Our key Yellow Book moments to look for in today's game. We start with the Panthers.
Well, as we said, Carolina's got to run the ball, and they're going to be tested because New Orleans is going to put that 8-man front up there into the box. And New Orleans, they're all about turnovers. They want to put that great offense on a short field.
Well, they've had a lengthy morning and an early afternoon to get revved up in the Big Easy, and we're back for the kickoff after this from the Verizon Football Zone.
Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
The Saints trying to stay perfect on the year. It's the second time in franchise history, the 43-year franchise history. They started 7-0, but John Fox and the Panthers trying to prevent that. Fox in his 8th year, the winningest coach in Panthers history, has taken his team to the playoffs 3 times, including last year. Sean Payton in his 4th year as head coach with New Orleans. His first year took him all the way to the NFC Championship game. They have not reached the playoffs in each of the last 2 seasons. Now, of course, inside the Superdome in New Orleans, conditions are perfect. Outside, Hurricane Ida making its way towards the coast, and a hurricane watch is in effect for this region. Not necessarily in downtown New Orleans, but certainly in the surrounding area. Currently a Category 2 storm. 5 is the worst Category storm. Carolina's won the toss, elected to receive. Thomas Morstead bangs it away, and a very short kickoff is fielded at the 15-yard line by Jeff King, the tight end, and he brings it out to the 25. Jake Delhomme, a native Louisianan, 34 years old, grew up in Beau Bridge, Louisiana. Has never lost a game as a starting quarterback in this venue. That includes 1 start in 1999 as a member of the Saints against the Dallas Cowboys, and a couple of starts in college. And after signing with Carolina in 2003, he's won every game he started in his home state. Tyrell Sutton activated before the game today with all the injuries on his Carolina team, and they finally bring him down after a pickup of nearly 8. Sutton, a rookie out of Northwestern. Take a look at Carolina. And the starting lineup, you know all about D'Angelo Williams, the all-time franchise leader in rushing yardage. Jeff King and Gary Barnidge, the tight ends, they are without a couple of key pieces of this offense. Fullbacks Brad Hoover, Tony Fiametta. They're without Muhsin Muhammad, the wide receiver, and tight end Dante Rosario. D'Angelo Williams across midfield. Inside the 30, he will take it all the way for a touchdown. So after going for 158 yards last week to become the all-time franchise rushing leader, Williams breaks one off 66 yards, his first carry today, to stun this crowd in an early touchdown.
Well, this is, again, simple as a screwdriver. This is a straight ISO play. And now he is going to the gate. He's going to look up at the board here and see, is there anybody chasing me? We've talked many times about an 8-man front's all well and good, but if you get to that second level, that means there's a whole bunch of dudes behind me and nothing but green grass out in front.
John Casey with the point after. And what a start for the Carolina Panthers. 2 handoffs. The second goes for a 66-yard touchdown run.
Today's Game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag, it's on.
Well, if you're the Carolina Panthers, you can't do it any better than that to start a football game against a team where you are an overwhelming underdog. D'Angelo Williams, who has led this revved up Carolina rushing attack over the last 3 games. Courtney Roby will take a knee, and the Saints get it first down.
Tom, this is what's got to be impressive. They know they're going to get an 8-man box. Now, right as he gets the ball, Roman Harper, stop right here. This is the safety, Roman Harper. There are 9 guys they've brought up into this box. 91's the 10th man coming on the backside. There's nothing out in front of him. 8 man. And that's the type of gashing an 8-man front we started the broadcast about. They're going to be challenged all day long, and so far they've stepped up to the challenge big time.
So here comes the highest scoring team in the NFL, Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. And his first pass caught by the tight end, Jeremy Shockey. Drew Brees. Few players in the NFL during the free agency era have made the impact that Brees has had on the Saints. Led New Orleans to the NFC Championship game his first year in 06. Has been to a pair of Pro Bowls and has racked up more passing yards than any quarterback in the NFL over the last 3 years.
Now watch this, Mike 83, Mike 83, 90, listen.
2nd and 5, they'll throw it. Reggie Bush. Run out of bounds close to the 27-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down and 3. Take a look at Carolina defensively. It's been a very good group. We'll check on them in a moment. The rest of the starters offensively for the Saints are led by their outstanding wide receiver Marcus Colston. And up front, we'll certainly keep an eye on Jermon Bushrod, 3rd-year tackle, going toe-to-toe with Julius Peppers. Screen to Pierre Thomas, and what a play made by Damian Lewis coming up from behind. It's 3 and out for the Saints offense.
And it's interesting to me the Saints would come out with 3 straight passes. Obviously, they wanted to test that secondary. They're without Gottfried at the safety position. They've had to put Sherrard Martin, a converted corner, in at safety, who actually played pretty well last week. But they didn't. They wanted to test that secondary from the get-go, and they answered the test.
Thomas Morstead, the rookie punter out of SMU. Very high. Captain Munnerlyn, the fair catch, and fields it cleanly at the 26-yard line. What a start for the Panthers, an early 7-0 lead. Well, the MO on this Saints offense, they jump on you early and often. 6 of 7 they had scored on their opening possession. Now that number goes to 6 of 8. after a 3-and-out stop for Carolina. Play action, and on the crossing route it's Steve Smith, and he's very close to another first down. New Orleans defensively, what a turnaround, and we'll talk about it throughout the afternoon. Now they're missing both starting defensive tackles. Kendrick Clancy placed on IR. Cedric Ellis is out with a knee injury for the next month and a half. Jolon Dunbar again starts for the injured Scott Fujita, an outstanding secondary led by Darren Sharper. D'Angelo Williams across the 40 out to the 43-yard line. Of course, we'll keep an eye on Jake Delhomme. You were there last week in the desert, Brian Billa.
Yeah, it wasn't a vicious hit. He just had a whole bunch of tonnage drop on top of him. And then when he tried to come back in the second half, typical Jake Delhomme, tough guy, couple throws, he knew this was just not right. He took himself out of the game and actually had to go into the hospital. Fortunately, he's back and says he's ready to go.
They pitch it to Jonathan Stewart, his first rush of the afternoon. Still on his feet, Jabari Greer able to wrestle him up after he collided with Darren Sharper. And it looks as though he has enough for another first down. Nothing but straight ahead power football for this Carolina Panther offense.
Yeah, and that's their style of play. And the New Orleans Saints, they're packing the box now. So at some point in here, you're going to see Jake Delhomme, like we see to start the series, a play fake with a vertical shot down the field.
D'Angelo Williams nowhere to run this time. Anthony Hargrove, who has played very well after missing all of last season under suspension, there to make the tackle. We talked about some of the key injuries for these two teams. For Carolina on offense, Muhammad, Rosario, and Hoover. No Charles Godfrey at safety. For New Orleans, no Lance Moore on offense, the other three on defense.
And they're one of the few teams that carry two fullbacks. Tony Fujita's not up either. That was interesting to see how they were going to count for both fullbacks and a tight end down.
Williams ran into Charles Grant, then got help on the backside from Roman Harper, and again Anthony Hargrove, third down and long.
And this is the down and distance for Carolina that obviously New Orleans wants to get them in. New Orleans is the #1 team in the league in third down conversion, keeping a team from converting. This is not the strength of the Carolina Panthers. In fact, this is where they're smelling turnover.
It's Hargrove who came across the line of scrimmage. Was he drawn off sides?
Encroachment, defense, number 69, 5-yard penalty, third down.
As a play caller, how big a difference? I mean, it sounds elementary, but how big a difference is it 3rd and 11 as opposed to 3rd and 6?
Absolutely huge. Defensive coordinator Greg Williams is going ballistic right now. He's got to, because you just doubled the chances of converting on third down, going from 3rd and 10 plus down to a 3rd and 6.
They lay it off for Goodson, and he's short of the first down. So Roman Harper played that beautifully from the strong safety position.
Well, Jake Delhomme does not have a natural throwing action. Now, they brought the house here. He had to double clutch the ball because he saw a flash of black jersey. Actually was a little risky throwing the ball out there in the first place once he got it out there. Tell you what, New Orleans is bringing the house. There's going to be some opportunities for plays down the field if Jake Delhomme wants to take them.
Jason Baker punts it away. Reggie Bush standing at his 10, where he signals for a fair catch. Was spotted at the 11. So after 3 and out in the first go-round, Breeze and company with chance number 2.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the Ford F-150. Built Ford tough by Windows 7. Your PC simplified. And by Domino's new Mix and Match deal.
The New Orleans Saints have already racked up 273 points through the first 7 games. And you see the note, the 4th most through 7 games in the history of the NFL. They're averaging 39 points per game.
Hey, kill. 5-2, run. 90, that's it.
Play fake, Breeze looking down the field, and the ball is loose. Stripped from behind, and the Panthers appear to have covered it up. Beeson at the bottom of the pile with a football. It was Tyler Brayton who knocked it loose out of the hand of Drew Brees. So now Carolina with a golden chance to add to this 7-0 advantage.
Well, it's a quarterback's nightmare. Again, they're throwing the ball. He's climbing the pocket very well. Great hustle coming from the backside. You expect pressure up front. You can feel it from the side. But when it comes from behind like this, it shocks even a veteran quarterback like Drew Brees.
How about this? At the 11. A pitch to D'Angelo Williams, cuts it back to the inside and carries it down to the 7-yard line. That'll be a gain of 4 for D'Angelo Williams.
Well, this is the second time they've tried this little fake dive and pitch it outside. Obviously, they're trying to get outside, all the bodies on the inside, just as a changeup. But this is what Carolina's built for, to shove it down to your throat in the red zone. I'm bigger, I'm tougher, I'm meaner, I'm nastier than you are, and I'm going to shove this thing in.
2nd and 6. Williams again to the inside, sniffing the goal line, and that is a touchdown. Brian Billick, you just said it. They're going to try and shove it right down your throat, and that's what they did after the turnover.
Every defensive player and coach in America will tell you this is the most demoralizing thing that can happen. This is a great run. Watch the hesitation and the stutter. Let the defense over pursue and then cut back, and the pad level of Williams. He was not going to be denied on the goal line. That's exactly the way Carolina wanted to dial that play up.
We are barely through 7 minutes of this opening quarter. And D'Angelo Williams is carried for 83 yards and a pair of touchdowns. $14-0, John Fox and the Carolina Panthers. We mentioned since John took over as head coach 8 years ago, he has never lost in the Bayou State. One of the games played after Hurricane Katrina at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. Courtney Roby is dragged down at the 22-yard line. Now, if this score were reversed, you would say to yourself, Carolina's in a pile of trouble. They're not used to having to come back and rack up big points. Very different when we're talking about the Saints.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody wants to be down 14 points. But if I'm going to be down 14 points, I want to be the New Orleans Saints and the talent they have. They were down by 21 to Miami. They've been here. They're not going to panic. If it were reversed, Carolina's worst fear is to be down. They're just not built to come back. This New Orleans Saints team, they can handle this.
Of course, they were down, as you mentioned, by 21 against Miami. Roared back to win that one going away. What a collision. As Pierre Thomas ran into Chris Harris. Harris missed the first 3 games of the season with an injured knee. And since coming back in the lineup, they're 3-1.
Well, I think, this is the first run New Orleans has had in 3 series. I think they came out with the idea, you know what, let's us jump up 14-0, because Carolina isn't built for that. But now down 14-0, they're going to get back to that balance that they were known for coming into the game.
Ready, 180, next up.
Breeze to throw it and finds Thomas, an excellent open field tackle.
Got to make a little bit of history, because for the next 2 hours we will be broadcasting to you from Harvard Airfield in Afghanistan.
God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless you. We love you.
Thank you.
Now, what a wonderful pregame show we had here on Fox from Afghanistan earlier today. I mean, if that didn't move you, I'm not sure what would. Breeze on third down throws a fastball that's caught, good enough for a first down by Robert Meacham, and that's out to the 32-yard line.
Now, New Orleans, obviously, compared to Carolina, and as you can imagine, Drew Brees, they're one of the better third down conversion teams in the league. But given the way this game started, Drew Brees looks a little uncomfortable in the pocket to me, Tom. He's not gotten in any groove. Of course, they've been, after the fumble, it's been a very short turnaround, but this is what they're built to do. But right now, they still have not gotten into that groove that you'd expect from this explosive and balanced New Orleans Saints team.
Well, we understand they're resetting the play clock, and at the same time taking a look at Chris Gamble in his sixth season out of Ohio State, a number one pick back in 2004, and he's slow to come off the field.
Well, you hope that's temporary, because both Gamble and Richard Marshall last week against that big, physical, talented Arizona receiving corps, they were up in their face. They were jamming these guys on the line. I'm interested in seeing it again if they're willing to challenge people like Marcus Colston, the speed of Devery Henderson, if they want to take the same approach, because they did an excellent job last week against that top-rated Arizona offense.
C.J. Wilson, in his third year out of Baylor, will come on and replace the injured Chris Gamble.
Opposite, 952. Ready, next time.
Reggie Bush for a gain of 9. Let's check in on some of the scores from earlier today. A rout in Chicago as Kurt Warner throws 5 touchdown passes. Tampa Bay wins for the first time this season, a stunner over Green Bay. Indianapolis remains undefeated along with New Orleans, the only two teams that can stake that claim, in a big win for Cincinnati over the Baltimore Ravens. The Bengals appear to be for real. Mike Bell out to the 45, and that's a first down.
Well, now we're beginning to see a little of that balance. Carolina so far, Tom, has played a very loose shell coverage. That means they've got the safeties deep. They're playing with 7 people in the box. I think you're going to see Drew Brees do a bit of checking if Carolina continues to be passive, and see if they can probe that 7-man front with their run.
Play fake to Bell. Brees under pressure, throws into traffic, and the catch is made to the Panthers' 42-yard line by Jeremy Shockey. That's a gain of 14.
The difference in Shockey and Drew Brees is substantial. Here you're going to see Shockey coming off this backside, going to cross the field. They're clearing out for him, just settling in that area. When you talk to Jeremy Shockey, he talks about, you know what, anticipate where it's going to be.
Brees 6 for his first 6. Fakes it one way, comes back to Thomas the other way. He breaks a tackle and spins his way to the 32.
And we're seeing the full Monty, as it were, with this New Orleans Saints offense now. We're seeing 2 tights, 2 backs, 3 wides. We're going to run the ball. We're going to fake screen one way, come back the other, and everybody's going to get their touches. Right now for Carolina, they're a little nervous because New Orleans has that look of the team that, oh boy, you don't want this team to get into rhythm.
Thomas, a first down carry to the 27.
Tom, the personnel groupings that they're rolling through here with the New Orleans Saints, and we've talked about this before. Everybody in the league calls it by numbers. 2 backs, 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers. Of course, there's always 5 skilled position people on the field at a time. That's 21 personnel. If you have 2 tight ends, that's 12. 1 back, 2 tight ends. And as you can see down the list. And for New Orleans, it's variations on the theme. They got 3 and 4 different versions of 12 or 2 tight personnel because of the depth of personnel they have.
Mike Bell inside the 25 to the 23-yard line. Tripped up by Julius Peppers.
And this is the part of the field, Tom, that interests me with New Orleans now. Before, this was going to be a throw, jump ball to Marcus Colston. How do I get the ball to Jeremy Shockey? Like we just talked about with Carolina, is New Orleans truly coming over to the dark side? Are they content in running the ball down in the red zone and showing that same physicality we talked about with Carolina?
4 receiver set. With Thomas in the backfield and a play blown dead.
Timeout, Carolina.
The Panthers spend a timeout before a 2nd and 6. Breeze and the Saints on the move with the Panthers in front, 14-0. 14-0 Carolina in front. We're under a minute to play in the opening quarter. A quarter dominated by Carolina. A 66-yard touchdown run for D'Angelo Williams. A turnover by New Orleans set up a second Williams touchdown. Pierre Thomas was wrapped up at the 21-yard line by Hollis Thomas, who spent the last 3 seasons with the Saints and was just signed a little over a month ago and has made a big difference in the middle of that Panther defense.
He has, and they were missing that when they, early in the season, or actually in preseason, they lost Maki Kimatu, who is a huge presence inside. So Hollis Thomas has given them that big body inside that allows now Julius Peppers and Brayton to be more effective on the outside.
Breeze 3rd down throw. Devery Henderson spins his way to the 5. He's run out of bounds right there.
Tom, we're talking constantly about on 3rd down conversion. The number one thing I always hear from fans, why don't they always throw it to the first down markers? Because most 3rd downs are converted throwing underneath and running for the first down distance, as we saw there.
14-0 Carolina in front. Fox NFL Sunday continues after these messages. Saints trying to get on the board, trailing 14-0, 1st and goal from the 5.
Got an extra tackle in here, Streif.
And he didn't help contain Thomas Davis, who came racing in from the linebacking spot to drag down Thomas all the way back to the 10.
Well, here's Streif right here. That's just an extra tackle, kind of like an unbalanced. They'd love to run the ball in here. But obviously this Carolina Panther team now, you talk about a big physical team. I'm not sure they're not going to show a run formation, maybe motion out and see if they can get a shot to Jeremy Shockey or Marcus Colston at the back of the end zone.
Both Shockey and Colston in the slot. Breeze across the middle, catch by Meacham. Got back to the original line of scrimmage. All right, 3rd and goal from the 5. As a play caller, you're thinking what?
You got to go to your 2 playmakers. As I said earlier, either Shockey in the end zone or Colston, maybe a Devery Henderson or a Meacham running underneath. I don't think you're going to see them with Carolina getting too lax in the middle. I don't think they're going to risk a little trap or draw in here.
Bobbled snap. Breeze just has to throw it away. So after marching down the field and having the football 1st and goal at the 5, the drive stalls.
Boy, that's this. I know they just went the length of the field, but this is a huge win for Carolina. I think Breeze was taking a peek at that secondary, at the matchup he was looking for, and the snap maybe surprised him. Now, you'll take the 3 points. You're glad to have it because it was all going Carolina's way. But right now, Carolina can feel pretty good about themselves.
It'll be a 23-yard field goal try for John Carney. Good snap, good hold, and a good kick. A minute plus into this second quarter, and John Fox has reason to applaud his Panther team.
Today's game is sponsored by Miller Lite. There's light beer, and then there's Triple Hops Brewed Miller Lite. Taste greatness. By Grand Theft Auto episodes from Liberty City. In stores now, rated M for mature. And by State Farm. To us, nothing's more important than being there.
The Panthers out in front, 14-3. 13:41 to play until halftime, and that's a big stop defensively after New Orleans had it first and goal at the 5. Mike Goodson out of his own end zone. Crosses at 20, still on his feet to the 25, and a flag is down on the field. More than likely, they'll back up Carolina, perhaps on a holding penalty here.
Holding, receiving team during the return, number 50, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, the leaders offensively early on for the Panthers. Jake Delhomme has only put it up twice. The major damage done by D'Angelo Williams, including a 66-yard touchdown run.
And you know Steve Smith is just waiting to go off here if they keep building this box like he did last week. He only had the one big play, but it was huge against the Arizona Cardinals. You know Jake Delhomme's going to be looking at Steve Smith to change the impact in this game.
D'Angelo Williams dropped a couple of yards behind the line of scrimmage. I beg your pardon, Jonathan Stewart. And right now for a game break, let's return to Chris Rose in Los Angeles.
All right, Tom, the Lions trying to snap a 15-game road losing streak. Matthew Stafford with 2 TD tosses so far. That one to Bryant Johnson. And the Lions blanking the Seahawks in Seattle. It is 17-zip. Back to Tom and Brian.
Chris, thank you. Great to have you with us from the Superdome in New Orleans. 2nd and 12. Stewart again, and collides with Jonathan Vilma along with Will Smith.
And this is where that inside presence now, or I should say the lack of it, the fact they've had some people hurt, Cedric Ellis, they're really high on Remy Adele and Anthony Hargrove in the way they've come in as backups to solidify the inside of the line, even after some of the injuries they've had.
3rd and 11. Very conservative call. And a very short run. The ball is loose. The ball stripped loose as he tried to get the last couple of yards, and waiting on an official signal from on the field as to who's at the bottom of the pile holding the football.
Well, the players are saying it, but okay, now Scott Green says, yep, wow.
And that looked like a play that was just going nowhere.
Well, it looked like they thought it was going to stop initially. You can see the hesitation, and you're obviously giving up on the down on a 3rd and 12 to run an isolation play, but just a good solid hit. The ball comes out. This is the type of thing that has killed the Carolina Panthers in the past. They can avoid turnovers. they've been pretty darn good. But to turn it over now on your 16, 17-yard line on the road, now New Orleans has got to capitalize.
Tracy Porter delivered the shot that jarred it loose, and Pearson Prelo covered it up.
I think you'll see Drew Brees taking a shot to the end zone right now. Let's build on this emotional momentum.
Pump fake. It has to lay it off for Thomas. Boy, that's a dangerous throw. Standing right behind him was John Beeson.
Well, he had Colston and Shockey in the back of the end zone, but again, a good job. Keep in mind now, this Carolina Panther defense is outstanding in terms of not giving up big plays. They're currently third. I get my numbers right here. Third in the league in terms of giving up the fewest big play. They tend to be a little conservative. They want to keep it in front of them, just as they did there.
Kill. 90, right second.
Second down, Breeze, good protection, intercepted by Gamble. Still on his feet across the 30, the 40, run out of bounds at midfield. Second turnover of the game for New Orleans on offense, a fumble and now an interception. Well, Gamble, who left the field with an injured quad, comes back in and reels in his 21st career interception. Another big turnover for the Carolina defense. Chris Gamble, his third interception this season. And after the big return of the 45, play blown dead before it ever got started.
False start. Offense, number 47. 5-yard penalty. First.
Let's go back to the interception.
Well, live by the sword, die by the sword. Here you can see Chris Gamble's one-on-one with Marcus Colston. Now, normally that's a good matchup given the size, but right at the top stop, you see Sherrard Martin's overplaying the top. That allows Chris Gamble to underplay a Marcus Colston. They were looking for the back shoulder throw, and Chris Gamble knew exactly where it was coming.
And that is the first interception this year for Gamble. D'Angelo Williams wrapped up at the line of scrimmage by DeMario Presley, playing in his first game this season after the injuries on the interior of that defensive line to Kendrick Clancy and Cedric Ellis. We talked about Adele and Hargrove starting, and DeMario Presley signed off the practice squad. They like him very much.
Yeah, Greg Williams was very high on him. And right now for Carolina, even this long down and distance, I wouldn't be surprised with a run because of this down. It's one of the few times you're not going to see 8 people in the box.
Steve Smith makes a catch, and a flag comes flying in after he had been run out of bounds at the 44-yard line, and now another flag thrown into the air.
We'll see what this is about. Steve Smith is an emotional player. We'll see if this is a part of it. I don't think John Fox is none too happy either, so my guess is this might go against Carolina.
We'll hear from Scott Green, our referee, after this conference in front of the Carolina bench.
Personal foul. Defense. Late hit out of bounds. Number 32. 15-yard penalty. First down.
That's Jabari Greer.
Well, I'm not quite sure what John Fox was so upset about. Again, just a little bubble screen here. Steve Smith, one of the dynamic players. Yeah, clearly a late hit. Anytime you hit someone that solidly in the white.
Yeah, they said number 32. It's number 42, Darren Sharper.
But still a penalty. Now, right there, that's where Steve Smith, you got to be John Fox, tell him, Steve, calm down. We got a play going our way. Don't get us unsportsmanlike conduct on top of it. Passion's great. Uncontrolled passion will get you beat.
Well, he's still barking. D'Angelo Williams inside the 40, down to the 39. That'll be a gain of 3 on first down.
You know, the thing I love about these two backs, both these backs, D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, Tom, is they always get you positive yards. May not be a big play, but as a play caller, you're going to be in a manageable down and distance all the time because they're going to get something on every play.
Well, this is the MO on Carolina. 13 rushes, only 3 times have they put it in the air. They'll run it again, and why not when you're getting runs like that from Williams?
Tell you what, Terrell Sutton, for a makeshift fullback, someone they're just kind of thrown in, he is a good physical presence for them and adds to that physicality we're talking about. You saw in that last play, same way, D'Angelo Williams. After contact, he got a good 2 yards after contact that now puts this at a very workable 3rd and 2.
Jonathan Stewart leveled at the 30, but not before he picks up a first down. The hit by Scott Shanley. And again, Sutton at 5'8", just 213 pounds, was an outstanding, very versatile back at Northwestern. Caught a lot of passes out of the backfield, carried the ball a lot, and now getting a chance with the injuries to Fiametta and Brad Hoover.
Comes a cat blitz off the weak side, either for run or pass.
The screen, big gainer here for Stewart. Inside the 20, run out of bounds at the 15.
Boy, that's a great call because when you get one of those cat pressures, they're called cat blitz, Tom. That's a corner coming off the edge. When that comes from one side, on this backside here, and they're bringing it strong side. Now, this can disrupt your screen, but if you can get it off like a screen against man coverage, it can be lethal. They had the right play dialed up against this pressure of the New Orleans Saints.
D'Angelo Williams nowhere to go. Running him down is Vilma, who came over prior to last season in a trade from the New York Jets. A number 1 pick back in 04 out of Miami and went to the Pro Bowl his 2nd year in the league.
And again, the New Orleans defense here, they know what Carolina Panthers are about. The division rivals, they see each other all the time. They're going to load this defense up and I think almost dare Jake Delhomme. You go ahead and take a shot down the field if you want.
Delhomme set at the 28 by Will Smith. Smith healthy again, played all of last season with a sports hernia and didn't tell anybody about it. That tells you about his toughness.
Well, they really feel like New Orleans does, that they can bring pressure with just their 4-man front, particularly bringing guys from the outside that they've got in terms of Grant and Smith. I'd be surprised again here not to see a run or a quick drop up. You want to guarantee the 3 points here. You don't want the turnover. I don't know that Carolina has the confidence in its offense to put it down the field.
Well, the play clock winding down under 5. Jake Delhomme says timeout. A big 3rd down for the Panthers when we return.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Chevy. Put us up against anyone and may the best car win.
9th play of this drive upcoming. Jake Delhomme is very unhappy as he went back to the sideline.
I'm not sure. There's not a little frustration of a quarterback says, man, let's get this shot into the end zone. And I think you're going to see a conservative call here because the 3 points are going to be paramount. Why risk a turnover, a sack out of field goal range?
Well, you called it. They give it to Williams. And he is hammered at the 15-yard line by Darren Sharper. But that certainly makes his field goal try a much easier try for John Casey.
Well, by maintaining the field goal rather than risking a shot for the first down, throwing the ball down the field, we're ostensibly, if it goes through, we're talking about a 2-score game, a 2-touchdown game. And in a game like this, that's huge.
So Casey has been bothered with an injured groin, this one from 32 yards away. And pretty much as he has done during his entire 19-year career, the one-time Georgia Bulldog bangs it through. 17-3, the Panthers lead it. Well, certainly Drew Brees and the Saints not used to looking up at that scoreboard in the first half of the game and being on the short end of a 17-3 game. They have just blasted the opposition pretty much right from the get-go throughout this entire year. Pierre Thomas handles the kickoff and brings it out to the 25. Now, D'Angelo Williams got hit and may have rolled an ankle.
Well, watch right here as he goes in. It's a heck of a hit by Sharper coming in. And then right here, boy, close your eyes if you're squeamish, because it looks like even both ankles might have got rolled a little bit. He's okay, though. He's still smiling, ready to go. You're going to have to do more than that to knock D'Angelo Williams out.
Well, you'd be smiling 11 carries for 100 yards, too.
No, I'd be heading to the hospital, man.
Reverse, and you can't play it any better than that. Thomas Davis again there to meet Henderson, and that'll be a loss of close to 6.
You know, if you're going to play good defense in this league now, Tom, you've got to be good open field tacklers. Watch how quickly he transitions into recognition and now action you can feel.
Well, and they got a favorable spot as well. They say it's a loss of 3. Flag down. Breeze lays it off for Reggie Bush. But Gamble drops him at the 28-yard line, and again, we wait on the flag.
Illegal formation, offense, not enough men on the line of scrimmage, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Before we remind you, weekdays make lunchtime your new prime time as FoxSports.com brings you lunch with benefits. Tomorrow, it begins at 1 Eastern. The after party, Jared Allen will host in place of Jay Glazer. Jay, of course, is over in Afghanistan with the pregame show, and he will report from Afghanistan on the show tomorrow. And Coach Billick, your show comes the very next day on Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll have a good one.
Meacham much more involved in the offense. Out to the 28-yard line. Now, your show on Tuesday, Coordinators Day.
Yeah, we're going to change it up a little bit, have some of the coordinators from some of the teams that we do. I think the fans will get a kick out of listening to what that Coordinators Day is like, how they go about preparing for one team versus another.
When do you have drink specials and ladies' night?
Is that what it is? Hey, if it'll get you to dial in, man, well, that's next week. Ladies' night, ladies' afternoon, ladies' lunch is next week.
I'll give my wife Polly. We'll tune in.
All right, we'll do it.
Everett Brown got caught out there in no man's land.
And do I go? You think they saw me? You think I can get away?
Unabated to the quarterback, number 91 on defense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
Yeah, I wonder if I can get away with it right here. And believe me, for just a second, let it go right here. And now he knows this is a little bit offsides. It's like he's thinking, I wonder if they saw me. You think I can get back? And you know what? Had nobody moved, he'd have been fine.
So 3rd and 8 now goes to 3rd and 3.
Wow, what a difference. Particularly, you don't need to spot New Orleans 5 yards.
Breeze looking for Bush. Bush came back to get the ball. That was actually a pretty well-thrown ball there by Breeze. I'm not sure if that went in and out of the hands of Bush when he came back to get it.
Well, it was, again, like the throw down on the goal line, the intercepted ball to Marcus Colston. It was kind of a throw back to the shoulder, expecting the athletic Bush to come back and get it. That's just a good play.
Yep.
You reach up. I mean, I can't say he knew the ball was there, but you got to be impressed with the athleticism and physicality of this Carolina defense.
It was Dante Wesley who knocked that away. Morstead, a very short punt, and then takes a Carolina bounce and is finally down to the 46-yard line. The big story early on today, D'Angelo Williams, a 66-yard touchdown run, the second play from scrimmage. And after a turnover, added a second touchdown, 11 carries, 100 yards.
See his pad level on that last run, Tom? That's what I'm talking about. Boy, just that low to center of gravity, that pad level that gets positive yards.
21-yard punt by Morstead. Delhomme looking down the field. His receiver slipped and fell down, Steve Smith. Or he would have had a wide open catch, at least for 10.
And Steve Smith, they're faking the action pass, the waggle. Now Steve Smith knows he's going to break to the outside. Looks like their feet just got tangled up. No penalty there. They're challenging Steve Smith, but they'll do that because they're going to have somebody else in behind it. They're not going to let, or try not to let, Steve Smith crank off a 70 or 80-yarder against him.
Jonathan Stewart wrapped up by Roman Harper. That'll be a loss of 3. Third and long. 3rd and 13 upcoming for the Panthers.
Now we're apt to see another conservative call here. Looks like Scott Parker's got something for us.
Got a question, though. Why be conservative here? Even if you don't get it, you'll punt it away and have great field position on defense where they are right now.
But Tom, that's who we are. We've got control of the game, and that doesn't mean we don't have faith in our quarterback. But if we get sacked, if the ball comes out, if I throw the ball down the field, it's interception, I give life to this building. I know that's not very aggressive, but this is how we win. And Jeff Davidson is of one mind with his head coach, John Fox, and they've got their quarterback to buy into it. If we have to be conservative because that's who we are, that's what we're going to do. Doesn't mean I won't take a shot here, but boy, Jake Delhomme with his interception woes, right now they're in control of this game. They don't want to do anything to tip that.
Well, you called it. But Williams, a first down carry to the 45-yard line. How about that? On 3rd and 12, D'Angelo Williams picks up 13.
And right now, I've got to tell you, those offensive linemen, and Jeff Davidson, is an old lineman himself. How much is he loving on a 3rd and 12, a 3rd and 11 call, shoving it down their throat for a first down?
Delhomme bobbled the snap and was lucky to pick it up. It's amazing the turnover story for Delhomme and the Panthers this season. Carolina started 0-3, lost 4 of their first 6 games. Delhomme threw 13 interceptions, fumbled twice, and was sacked 13 times in the first 6 games.
They couldn't get out of their own way. But, Tom, we had them after the bye when they played Washington. And you had a sense, at least a hope on their part. They thought the defense was beginning to come together under new defensive coordinator Ron Meeks. They were gaining confidence there, and they had, what did John Fox tell us? I'm not into benching Jake Delhomme. I'm into resurrecting him. It was all about in the building with the players, how do we get this guy's confidence back because we believe in him, and he believes in what they're doing. There's a lot of quarterbacks with that last call, that 3rd and 12 run, and had it gotten 3-4 yards of punting, would have come over the sideline just hooping and hollering and crying in his beer saying, are you kidding me? Let me play. But he buys into what they're doing.
2nd and 13.
Here comes those cat blitzes again.
King started too early on the left side.
False start. Offense, number 47. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
You had all that momentum just 2 plays ago. Then you have a fumbled snap. You lose 3. A penalty backs you up 5 more. Now it's 2nd and 18.
And give the New Orleans Saints and this crowd credit because the emotional tide had gone back to Carolina. Now they got a big hill to climb.
Williams to midfield. All right, well, a moment ago, you thought they would be conservative, run the ball, turn into a big gain for a first down. Closing in on the 2-minute warning. On 3rd down, will they stay conservative on offense?
I think they're apt to because New Orleans is going to say, you know what, we're going to go passive. We're not going to let you throw for the first down. And even if you run it, I don't think you're going to get 15 yards.
All right, we'll know the decision. We're at the 2-minute warning.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by AT&T. Your world delivered.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
All right, Brian Billick, every Carolina fan saying 3rd and 16, 2-minute warning. Got to throw it here, right?
If you trust your quarterback, you do. But they're in a 2 tight end set. Maybe you dump it off. Maybe you give the back instead of against that front 7. Give them a chance to catch the ball 3-4 yards down the field and turn it into something big.
Blitz coming, and they hand it off. Darren Sharper along with Will Smith coming up to make the stop. So the clock at the 1:53 mark. New Orleans will spend a timeout, knowing they have plenty of time to get down the field once they receive this punt. Well, coming up next, Visa Halftime Show, we reveal the new BCS standings. Another wild weekend of college football. Let's get highlights of all of today's NFL action. The Visa Halftime Show coming up next. Well, we were dialed into the college games all day yesterday.
Oh, you wear me out, man. You're deep into that college stuff. You and my daughter. Yeah, I love watching college games with you.
And she was excited yesterday.
Oh, OH, baby. She was cranked up.
The Ohio State University, where she goes to college. A huge win on the road at Penn State.
They're all huge.
Well, we shall see.
Neutral zone infraction, number 50, receiving team, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
So it goes from 4th and 16 to 4th and 11. They'll punt it again.
But I tell you what, New Orleans is poised. They sure look like they got single gunners on the outside or single matched up to jam the gunners outside. They look like they're coming after this thing.
Jason Baker's had 1 blocked already this season. They're coming after it. End over end. Reggie Bush from the 10. Tackle of the 17. Uncharacteristically, New Orleans turning the ball over a couple of times today. The fumble in the opening quarter, which led to a touchdown. A bobbled snap and then an interception by Gamble. In the first 5 games, New Orleans only turned it over 6 times. But in the last 2 games, they've turned it over 10 times.
And that's always the great equalizer against an aggressive offense. Right now, New Orleans wants nothing more than make Carolina pay for that conservative play call on 3rd and 14.
Dropped by Colston on 1st down. Take a look at the Saints offensively. Very good completion percentage for Breeze. But the running game has been extremely quiet. I mean, let's face it, this has been an extremely quiet half. Only 90 total yards for this high-octane Saints offense, which averages 429 yards a game. Reggie Bush makes a reception out to the 27. The Saints are out of timeouts. A minute 30 to play until halftime.
And the good thing for the Saints, again, they're built for this. The Drew Brees, this is a walk in the park. Or a wedge, as it were. A wedge in the park. But this is what New Orleans is built for. And his ability to orchestrate their offense from the gun, from no huddle, even with the timeouts. I can't think of a guy beyond a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady that I'd want orchestrating my 2-minute than a Drew Brees.
Brees under pressure, throws, short.
Yeah, that's very unlike a Marcus Colston. You know, last year coming off injuries, and yesterday you could see it when we talked about Marcus Colston. I guess it was on Friday with Drew Brees. You see his eyes light up. He sat up in the chair. He loves this guy, and because you don't get a lot of that on Marcus Colston, and a rare drop for him last year being hurt. That was a big loss for them last year. Him being healthy, Shockey being healthy, a big part of why they're 7-0.
They've done a lot of damage the final 2 minutes of a half this season. Gunned across the middle, caught by Devery Henderson. That's a first down to the 45. And the clock down to 45. They got timeouts.
Got plenty of time here, though. This is what I'm talking about. If they can make Carolina pay for that conservative play calling to get the ball back in their hands, they can pull back some of the emotion of this game.
Bush comes back to make the catch and wisely runs out of bounds. So you're talking about plenty of time, and you look up on the clock and you see 35, 40 seconds. You're out of timeouts. Are you saying it's plenty of time maybe for this particular quarterback and this particular offense?
Because I don't need but 15 yards. And we've got the full repertoire of throws on the outside, and I got lots of guys to go to. Lots of guys I can dump the ball off on a couple 4 or 5 yard throws that can turn into 10, 12, 15, 20 yards.
This is going against New Orleans.
Full start. Offense, number 19. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That'll back them up to their own 41-yard line. 29 seconds remaining until halftime. A stunner thus far, with Carolina leading the Saints 17-3.
Julius Peppers on the right side uncharacteristically.
Colston will hang on to this one. Inside the 20.
Yeah, he's got so many weapons, and Drew Brees, if you can't put pressure on him, I tell you what, he's going to find something.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer, going low at his legs. Number 92. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
This is just a vertical route against their cover two. Got to have a good jam by the corner, staying on the sideline. He took a peek at that safety. Nice job by Marcus Colston, just kind of knowing where the safety is. And then now we're going to see the late hit on Drew Brees, and it was the low hit. It's the one that they've put in to protect the quarterback. You cannot hit them below the thighs, even if you're blocked into it. This place is going to go ballistic if they come up with a score here, Tom.
21 seconds remaining.
Colston to the back of the end zone.
Brees to Bush. Nothing doing. He caught it out of bounds.
He had Colston right down the middle of the field. The safeties went flat. I'm a little surprised Drew Brees didn't take it. Now, 16 seconds. Now, you've got no timeouts. Obviously, it's got to be throws on this down, on third down, because you don't have time now to run your field goal team on. So it's got to be a touchdown, throw it out of the back of the end zone, and if you throw it wide, you better get out of bounds if it's not in the end zone.
Come
2 minutes. 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 2 minutes.
Dangerous throw there. You can't cover any better than John Beeson did Jeremy Shockey. That's how you draw it up.
Well, he was looking for that back shoulder. You can see right here, Drew Brees knows where he wants to go. Shockey thinking the ball's going to be in front, not anticipating it on that back shoulder. One of those deals where we talked about, I know where he's going to throw the ball to me, didn't know where he was going to throw it there.
Now this becomes a huge play.
It does, because of the emotional tenor. There again, I always say, who's your best player? They got a lot of good players here. I got no clue who he's going to.
Brees, great protection, and batted into the air. If you're the Carolina Panthers, I'm not sure you can play a half of football in this building against this team better than they have today.
No, you just gave up a bunch of yards, but you held them to 3 points. You'll have enough to talk about the big plays that put them down in scoring position, but the Carolina Panthers are going to feel good, all but leaving the half with a 3-point score against them. They're going to feel good about a half day's work so far.
That was Everett Brown, the rookie out of Florida State, who knocked that pass down. 25-yard field goal try by Carney is good to make it 17-6. Well, we take a peek ahead to the NFL on Fox next week. Some outstanding games, starting with the Falcons and the Panthers. Game 2 of our doubleheader. Some will see the Cowboys and the Packers. Brian, you and I will be out west in San Diego for the Eagles and the Chargers. Coverage begins with a 4 Drive 1 NFL Fox Sunday pregame show, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. Couple of big games for both the Eagles and the Chargers today.
Well, we're getting that part of the season now where absolutely everything's a big game, because the outcome and how it affects the playoffs becomes more and more clear in everybody's mind.
Well, barring a miracle play here on the final play of the half, the 9 points would be 6 points, I beg your pardon, would be a season low in the opening half of the game for the Saints. They had scored 10.5 twice against Buffalo week 3, against Miami 2 weeks ago, but only 6 in the opening half here today. That's Gary Barnidge on the final play of the half. 17-6. Carolina leading. Fox NFL Sunday continues with the Visa halftime report after a word from your local Fox station. Well, earlier this week, Morton Anderson, one of the all-time greats in the history of the NFL, inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame and made it official in front of this sellout crowd at the Superdome at halftime. Well, the Saints are going to get the football to begin the second half. And they'll get it at their own 20-yard line, trailing 17-6. Some of the numbers from the first half, and certainly turnovers, a big factor. The Panthers scoring 10 points off the 2 New Orleans turnovers.
And that's what the Carolina Panthers are about. And the differential in passing yards versus running yards, real clear cut, the personality of these two teams. New Orleans, what those numbers show you is New Orleans hasn't been able to reach the balance that has been so good. Here you can see working on Williams on the sideline. Hopefully he'll be fine when Carolina comes back.
Brees rolls out, first play of the second half, and completes a throw to Jeremy Shockey out to the 27.
I'll be a little surprised if New Orleans doesn't try to reach a little more of that balance, Tom, that we talked about that they've been so good at. Obviously, the way the game kind of got away from them, they started out with 4 or 5 straight throws rather than running the ball. I would imagine a more even-handed approach here on this drive if they can sustain it.
They've only had to make one big comeback this entire year. I mean, they were down 21 to Miami. They trailed at one point 24-3 of that game, then 24-10 at halftime. And again, we keep an eye for this entire region on Hurricane Ida. Off the northern Gulf Coast, roughly over 100 miles away right now, but closing fast. And right now, thankfully, a Category 2 storm. Lloyd knows this area has had more than enough of that.
Yeah, don't need anything more than that. This is Shockey territory to me, or Reggie Bush.
3rd and 3, the slant to Devery Henderson.
Or Devery Henderson.
Inside the 30, being chased by Gamble, who will catch him at the 10. $63-yard gain.
You see Shockey inside here is going to gobble coverage, and just a simple slant route by Henderson on the outside, get the ball in his hands quick, and now let that sheer speed show up. This is the type of dynamic talent that New Orleans has made a living off so far. Get the ball into the hands of a playmaker quick and let him do the rest.
The 15th catch in a very young career at Devery Henderson. It's gone for 50 or more yards. They just do get it off. And Thomas into the end zone.
Now just simple again, just what New Orleans wants to do, wants to bounce the ball to the outside. The physical play of Pierre Thomas, the physical style of New Orleans running game is what differentiates them this year from previous years.
That took all of 1 minute and 46 seconds, 4 plays, 80 yards, touchdown and an extra point, and all of a sudden, it's a 4-point game.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag, it's on. By Visa. Visa debit is easier than cash. More people go with Visa. And by Hyundai Assurance. A little certainty in uncertain times.
Pierre Thomas, a touchdown run from 10 yards, capping that 4-play, 80-yard drive. 17-13 Panthers. Mike Dixon from the goal line. Leveled at the 20. Wow, was he hit. Prelu was there. Jonathan Casillas also there.
Today's game is sponsored by Sprint. This is the NFL Now, only from Sprint, the Now Network, official wireless service sponsor of the NFL.
Listen to this collision on that kickoff return. Jonathan Casillas.
And this is the physicality that I'm not sure in years past the team had, New Orleans had as a team. They got it now, the way they're running the ball and playing defense.
Crowd into the game for the first time all day. First man through, the rookie Tyrell Sutton, who's playing in his first NFL game today, has been inactive every week so far, and he has played quite well.
He has, particularly as a fill-in, and this is the kind of game we talked about New Orleans being a team that's built to come from behind. Carolina is a team, this is the kind of games they play. All their games are going to be tight. When you play good defense, run the ball, they're built for this kind of game. Tight games, going to be physical, going to come down to some mental toughness.
Play action, good protection for Delhomme. He had an open Steve Smith that was thrown a little too high. So 3rd down upcoming for the Panthers. Of course, DeAngelo Williams last week, when he became the Panthers' career leading rusher, ripped off 158 against Arizona. 115 more today.
The way this game is turning, I'm not sure Carolina can continue to hand off these 3rd downs.
They just do get it off. What a throw and what a catch. Flag comes down. Gary Barnage, the tight end, just went up and got it with Delhomme under heavy pressure.
Interference, defense, number 41. Penalty is declined. First down.
Risky throw. John Fox is loving it. That's one of those throws that has victimized them in the first part of the season. Kind of just throwing up a jump ball, but Jake Delhomme step up and make a big play when needed.
3 minutes into the second half, and D'Angelo Williams rumbles for close to 10 and crosses midfield.
And this is what I was talking about, Tom, with Carolina is built for this. It was all going New Orleans' way. The emotion, the building's rocking, and they understand that. They just keep chipping away. They keep chipping away. It's not the most aggressive of offenses, but they know this is the kind of game they're going to have to stay in. They're built for it, both physically and emotionally. And John Fox, this is how he's built this team.
It was a gain of 10, so it's a first down. Jonathan Stewart checks in. He nearly fumbled again. In fact, it looked like that ball popped into the air and he had to corral it. He's already fumbled once today.
This is now, you're deep enough into your play calling sheet now, Tom, with the coordinators. This is where the chess match it comes in. Carolina's thinking, you know what, we've been running here. You ought to think of shell coverage by New Orleans, but okay, are we going to cross them up? And now that it is shell, continue to run, or am I going to cross you up New Orleans, come blitzing this guy in here, and does Carolina take a shot down the field?
Dwayne Jarrett very close to another first down in his third season out of USC. He has had two very disappointing years after breaking every Trojan receiving record. In fact, broke the all-time Pac-10 record with 41 touchdown receptions. A yard short on the catch, 3rd and 1.
Usually just a quick dive to the fullback from Carolina in these situations.
Throw it to Jarrett. First down.
You know, Jarrett is much like Musa Muhammad, who obviously is not playing today, the long-time big physical receiver. And Jarrett Smith, at this size, you say coming out of SC, 6'4", 219, you're right. He has been a bit of a disappointment. The young man wants to be good. He's from New Jersey. He's got a little bit of toughness about him. And if you're going to play receiver for the Carolina Panthers, you better be able to block. And once you get the ball in your hands, have a physical presence about you. And the kid's got that kind of capability. Safety down the box.
Good protection and good coverage by Darren Sharper, step for step with Jeff King.
That's great. You can see them drop down here. We see Roman Harper. Come on, bring it. And you do. And all of a sudden now you get lit up. The back, great block by D'Angelo Williams getting underneath Roman Harper. This is two physical teams going mano-a-mano right here.
Williams dropped it to 32, and again Harper coming up to make the stop. Boy, Harper's all over the field. He's their leading tackler on the season. He is the lone starter in that secondary that has been lit up over the last number of years by Steve Smith. Everybody else is new.
Well, that's good because he's got a short memory and the other guys don't know. But, they're doing a good job. They're not going to give Steve Smith too much one-on-one. If you're going to beat him, you're going to have to beat him with somebody else.
Third and 6, they run it. And Williams with a man to beat to get the first down. He beat him. It is a first down. Tracy Porter tried to make the stop. It looked like he had the angle, but Williams ran right by him, a gain of 9.
And look at him put this into another gear. He gets to the outside. This is just, I got to outrun, and I got to outrun an NFL corner. That's not easy. That's power, that's speed. Carolina probably runs more on third and mediums than any team in the National Football League.
Well, what does that mean?
Third and 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, where most teams are going to throw the ball.
Blitz coming. Catch is made by Smith at the 20, and he is stopped right there. That ball was tipped. That big pack right in front of Jake Delhomme, but the catch is good for a 3-yard gain.
Just all of a sudden a defensive lineman pops up. That's a quarterback's worst nightmare. You're not going to get home on the rush. A good defensive line all of a sudden trained to just stop and throw your hands up. That's when bad things happen.
2nd down and 6. Extra wide body is checked into the game for Carolina. Blocking for Jonathan Stewart. And he's close to the 15. It'll be 3rd down.
Now, typically, we just said that Carolina is a team that will run more on third and short, not third and short necessarily, but third and medium more than any other team in the league. So normally a play-action fake on third and medium is of no value. But for the Carolina Panthers, it can be because of their commitment to the run. I'm not sure they won't run it here, but if they do throw it, I imagine it'd be a play fake.
Mackenzie Bernardo has checked in as an extra wide body up front. And it's a 1st down carry. Jonathan Stewart inside the 15. Well, they're going to measure for sure. It looked like he got it.
Again, you can see the yellow line is unofficial, as we always say. And Stewart, just like Williams, watch the pad level, the leg drive, always churning on the legs. That looks like an easy spot. Yep, even though it's unofficial, you can see the chain, clearly a 1st down. Yeah, and this is on 3rd down now. Again, this isn't Carolina's strength, but right now they're sitting here at 4 for 4 on this drive on 3rd down, and most of them are on runs. And that's uncharacteristic of any team in the National Football League, but it's set up by that philosophy we keep talking about. We're going to pound you, we're going to pound you, we're going to pound you, and we're not afraid to do it on third and medium.
14th play of the drive. Stewart again. Knocked off his feet after a gain of close to 2. And the other thing this does, not only are you picking up valuable yardage, not only are you now knocking on the door of the 10-yard line and sniffing more points, you keep that other team's offense standing on the sideline.
And the emotional response. This building was going nuts with the big drive by New Orleans, and Carolina, by sheer force of will, has taken it back.
Drive consuming 7.5 minutes so far. Stewart bounces off a couple of tacklers and is inside the 3, down to the 2. It's 1st and goal, Panthers. Looked like he broke the tackle of Jonathan Vilma.
And again, this is just man on man. We got a 7-man box. The contact there, 1, 2, dragging the guy, linebacker, taking it down. Body presence down the field. This is what we talked about. This is if you're a receiver for the Carolina Panthers. He's learning. The young man from SC is learning. You know what? This is part of my job if I'm going to stick around here. Nice job by the young man from SC, Dwayne Jarrett.
Well, the play clock running down, and Carolina spending a timeout really makes you wonder. And we'll get back to this in a minute. At the 1-yard line, you're burning timeouts on 1st down. Brian Billick, what's going on here?
Well, with the personnel that they're down fullbacks, they're down to 3 wide receivers, particularly down the goal line. They're trying to sort out who's in the game. And after you're done dog cussing them for doing it, you say, okay, we had the wrong people in, call timeout, let's get it sorted out.
Busted play. All that after the timeout.
Yeah, this is now this part's not good. This is a little disjointed here. I don't know. Somebody's confused about what that play call was supposed to be. You're on the 1 yard line now. You're about to take total emotional control of this game, and now it gets backed up to the 7 yard line. They're not hitting on all cylinders down here.
Well, that's what happened. He bobbled the ball.
Yeah, Jake just didn't have control of the ball, and rather than try to get the handoff late and turn it over, he pulled it back down.
So 2nd and goal at the 7. Sutton maybe to the line of scrimmage. Sholon Dunbar there, 3rd and goal. All right, what about it here, Brian Billick, as a play caller? 3rd and goal. The difference between a 24-13 game and a 21-13 or 20-13 game is pretty big difference.
It is, and it's a win for New Orleans if they stop them. You might look again. Who's the best player you got on the field right now besides your running back? If you don't want to hand it off, Steve Smith. I got to get the ball in Steve Smith's hands one way or another. If I don't hand off the run.
Right through the hands of D'Angelo Williams. That should have been a touchdown.
He was looking for Steve Smith in the corner. And as good as this drive is, and you got to like it, here you can see he's staring down. He's got Steve Smith to the left. He's looking, not there. Is there some way I can salvage this? I don't know that that's Williams' forte, so to speak. Jake Delhomme, he knows right there, boy, we needed a touchdown. We'll take the 3, but that may come back and haunt us.
See if they get the 3. 25 yards away, John Casey. They get 3. 3:27 to play in the 3rd. Carolina leading the unbeaten Saints by a touchdown. Look at that drive, nearly 10 minutes. 19 plays, 73 yards. They wanted that touchdown, didn't get it.
Nah, but they'll take the field goal. Again, this is their philosophy. They know what these tight games are about because that's what they're built for.
Well, we say thank you on the American Forces Network, 177 countries around the world. U.S. military personnel watching this game. God bless you all and thank you for your service. Pick brought out to the 27-yard line. Of course, we'll celebrate Veterans Day this coming Wednesday. What a day it was here on Fox, the pregame show in Afghanistan. Got a ball game here.
Oh, heavyweight fight. Exchanging blows. Who's going to get the last lick in?
And really, that's been the MO of this division.
It has. New Orleans has always come up a little short because they haven't had the personality to do that kind of infighting. They do now.
Long way to go. 3:19 in the 3rd. Breeze out of the shotgun. Drops it off to Reggie Bush. Still on his feet and tackled at the 30-yard line. That'll be a gain of a couple of yards for Reggie Bush.
You know, Reggie's become kind of the forgotten man to a degree. They've got this 3-headed monster now at running back with Pierre Thomas, Mike Bell, 2 physical style runners. What a great changeup to come to Reggie Bush. But naturally, and then you talk about Marcus Colston, Jeremy Shockey, and Devery Henderson. Not a lot of touches for the first-round draft choice out of SC.
Thomas is run down by Davis. Let's send it back to Los Angeles. Game break time and check in with Chris Rose.
All right, Tom, in the Phillip and Eli Bowl advantage, Phillip Rivers finds Chris Wilson, 5th TD catch in his 6-year career. Chargers lead the Giants 14-7 in 3rd. Back to Tom and Coach.
Coach, thank you. And, of course, you go back to that 2004 draft where Manning said before the draft, I'm not going to play. I don't want to play for San Diego.
But don't forget, it's all Manning and Rivers. Who's the 11th pick? Ben Roethlisberger.
You better believe it. Out of Miami, of Ohio, and has already won a couple of Super Bowl titles. Eli's won one. That's good enough for a first down on the give to Mike Bell.
Yeah, and that's the physical part. How about that? A 3rd and 2, and the New Orleans Saints run the ball. I'll have to go back and look. I don't know how many times they did that last year. Probably not a lot, but this is the total weapons that they have. This is a great game. I tell you, the emotional response of each team to the other. One gets momentum. They just had a 19-play drive, 73 yards. Now New Orleans comes back, and they're on the drive.
Black comes in very late. Beeson on the coverage of Jeremy Shockey.
Now, I'm not sure. They're going to call pass interference. I'm not sure that ball wasn't tipped.
And I'm not sure it's against the defense.
Interference, offense, number 88. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Wow. And I'm not quite sure who they're referring to. Oh, the offense. I'm sorry. It was. Yeah. I'm so used to not hearing an offensive call.
Well, it looked like a pretty ticky-tack call. I don't blame the crowd for being upset. Yeah. And you saw the errant throw. That ball, or it looked like the arm of Breeze was hit by Charles Johnson just as he threw. Play fake. Bush, a one-handed catch. And he's up to the 38.
Well, no one never said this guy wasn't a great athlete. This is just a great one-handed grab. Never really has to even bring it into the other hand. Puts it right to the tuck. Turns into a ball carrier here. And Reggie Bush has had to kind of, not that he's been a troublesome player, but, you know, you're a prideful guy. You want to get a lot of touches, but you're 7-0. Everybody's playing well. Really not much room to say much when you're not getting the touches as a competitor you'd like to have.
Bush, a rare carry. And he's out to the 47-yard line. For Reggie, that's only his second rushing attempt today. He's not had more than 6 rushing attempts in any game over the last 5 weeks.
And for Reggie Bush, it's about being the complete player. And with the power running backs you have in Pierre Thomas and Mike Bell, they've got a nice balance right here, and he knows he's a part of that.
Momentum-wise, an important third down for the Saints.
Easy. 22 play.
Breeze down the middle of the field. What a catch by Meacham to the end zone.
Now he's doing a lot at the line. I don't know if he's faking an audible or he's actually going to it, but he ends up with a 3-by-1 formation with 3 verticals. Robert Meacham down the middle of those 3. Great catch and run. This young man, they've had a lot of expectations for him coming out of Tennessee. I don't think he's had a bigger play in a Saints uniform than that one.
Point after by Carney. Ties the game. On the final play of the third quarter, Breeze to Meacham. 54 yards and a touchdown. Tied at 20, a quarter to go. Back after a word from your local Fox station. (20-20). 15 minutes to play at the Superdome in New Orleans. Panthers get it at the 20.
Yeah, Tom, this is just a 3 verts on the outside. They're just going down the field. I'm not sure Richard Marshall shouldn't have hung with this third receiver down the middle with Meacham. And again, not right there. You saw there Chris Gamble, not much of a tackle. Did not do a good job making the play. He's had that early quad that he had in the first quarter. I don't know if that's a factor, but it looked like Marshall should have carried the center receiver further down the field rather than putting that on Chris Gamble's plate to fall off and make the play.
Play blown dead before it ever got started.
Snap infraction, offense, number 67, 5-yard penalty, first down.
What a game it's been. Big rushing day again for D'Angelo Williams and his Panther offense. Drew Brees in the second half. The Saints have run 10 plays of offense in 2 possessions, 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. Delhomme, a rare first down throw, looking for Jarrett. Incomplete. That looked like a pretty good throw right there by Delhomme.
Yeah, that's just a good 40-5 throw. And what I'm talking about, anytime you go a 9 route down the rail, it's an aiming point of 40 yards down the field, 5 yards from the sideline, give him room to fade away. That's a pretty good throw. Dwayne Jarrett needs to come up with that 40-5 throw.
And on the coverage there was Jabari Greer. He limped off the field. And Randall Gay replaces him, Gay number 20. Williams looking for some room, and none is there.
Tom, this is what I'm talking about, 40-5, is that most 9 routes down the outside is just that. It's 40 yards down the field with a 5-yard aiming point from the sideline and let it fade away to the sideline. That's where every 9 route is aimed. Nice execution by Carolina. Just got to come up with a catch. Now they got to come up with a 3rd and 13. Not easy down in distance.
They convert 3rd and 13 on the throw down the middle to Kenneth Moore. And for Moore, that's only his 4th catch the entire year. What a huge play for Carolina. And he beat Randall Gay, who just replaced Jabari Greer.
Yeah, Jake Delhomme knows. He knows how big this is. Nice job climbing the pocket. Big 3rd down conversions. Those have been hard to come by for the Carolina Panthers. He knows how big a play that is. Gives them a new, sets it down.
What a catch. Then a drop. Is it a completed pass? Injured on the play is a tight end, Barnidge, who had it initially. And what is the call on the field? They're saying he caught the ball, and I believe, and that the ball went out of bounds.
Fumble forward out of bounds. Ball will come back to the spot of the fumble. First down.
Right. They'll bring
49.
it back to where he lost it.
Yep, at the 49. Porter stripped it away, it looked like.
And it's just a crossing route here, him coming across. Now, I want you to watch where this ball is. How Jake Delhomme's balls, we've said this for a couple of weeks now, Tom, have just seemed to be a little high. And he loses control of it on some high throws. That easily could have been bounced up in the air and picked. Nice catch. This is a catch and a fumble. There's no question about it. I don't think we'll see a challenge on that.
Randall Gay got a piece of that. They were trying to set up the receiver screen to Dwayne Jarrett. We saw that on back-to-back plays in the first half.
Yeah, and we keep seeing these corner blitzes by Greg Williams and the New Orleans Saints defense. And the corner blitz, again, that cat blitz is just coming off the edge. You're going to see him coming up off the top. And right in the slot, and right now it just jumps up in the face. If you can get it off, it's a nice matchup on the outside, but all of a sudden the guy uncharacteristically coming free from the outside.
2nd and 10. Williams, a catch out of the backfield, wrapped up by Vilma, but that's a gain of 7. It'll be 3rd down and 3 for Carolina on this pivotal drive. Their opening drive of the 4th quarter, after New Orleans hit on a 54-yard touchdown pass from Breeze to Meacham on the final play of the 3rd.
Carolina's better than 50% on 3rd down today. That's way ahead of their average.
Stewart stuffed. Harper, Vilma, Hargrove, all there.
You can just hear the energy in this building build now, Tom. This is going to be fascinating to see if now New Orleans, with this little bit of a break, can take control of this game with a 20-20 tie.
Reggie Bush will let this one drop. And it is down at the 2-yard line. Covered beautifully down there by Quentin Teal. He batted it back into play and down by Davis.
Today's game is sponsored by Walmart. Christmas costs less at Walmart. Save money, live better, Walmart. By Toyota, moving forward. And by Bud Light, with the just right taste that's not too heavy, not too light. The difference is drinkability.
Carolina on the road in a 20-20 affair against the unbeaten New Orleans Saints. 11:19 to play.
That's Pierre Thomas at fullback.
First down carry to Thomas from their own 2-yard line. A pickup of 1.
Again, one of the many personnel groupings to be able to put a Pierre. I don't know how much of a lead blocker he's going to be, but it does present that threat to give him that quick little dive, particularly backed up in the shadow of your own goalpost. This is a field position game now with Carolina rolling the dice in terms of, can we keep this high-powered New Orleans Saints offense backed up, make them punt out of their own end zone.
An extra tackle, Zach Strief checks in, and Breeze to Thomas out of the backfield, and that's a first down and more. All the way out to the 21. An injured Panther all the way back at the 10. Well, we will take a timeout. Hard to tell who it is down there. Can't see the number. We'll be back.
That's Thomas Davis. They're helping off the field. Just no contact, just an open field. You can see that obviously, thank goodness he's moving around on a little bit. His replacement is Landon Johnson. Pivotal time to be bringing the backup in, but now it's this young man's job to step in and do the job.
First down. Hand off to Pierre Thomas. He's out to the 27. Let's go back to the injury.
You can see Thomas Davis with the motion comes out and ends up over Devery Henderson. They really don't get tied up. He just steps back and then steps on that right ankle wrong. Hopefully it's just an ankle injury. Nothing more serious than that, but just in air. I don't know that there was any contact or he got rolled up with him.
Second and 4. Reggie Bush, a first down. Steps out of bounds at the 37-yard line. Bush's sixth
That's
catch.
just a little pick route here. He's coming out of the backfield. The new linebacker in, Landon Johnson, got picked off. He had flat coverage on Reggie Bush, got picked off in the play.
Should be noted, Landon Johnson, for 4 years, started 53 games for Cincinnati, so he does have some experience. Thomas has been a workhorse this entire season in the fourth quarter. And there's a 10-yard pickup and another first down. Let's go back to Los Angeles and Chris Rhodes.
All right, Tom, TJ Hushmanzada has been complaining. He wants the ball more. Ask him, he shall receive. His sixth catch of the day leads to 6 points. PAT no good, but Seattle leads the Lions by 5 as they head to the fourth. Back to Tom and Coach Billick.
Thanks so much, Chris. See the numbers so far for Hasselbeck. Been a rough year for the Seahawks under first-year head coach Jim Mora. Thomas to the 45-yard line. That'll be a pickup of 6.
Now the Saints have basically run themselves out from the shadow of their own goalpost, Tom, and I don't know that we'd have seen that from the New Orleans Saints the last 2 years. This is the physical running game that we're talking about that now for the first time in this game is really beginning to manifest itself, and they obviously have confidence in it. Now they've got a backfield of Bell. We've seen Thomas and Bush. Now we're seeing Bell and Bush. They're using all their assets.
And they throw it to Bush. That's his 7th catch of the game, and it's a first down to the 40.
Yeah, this is nothing more than like a quick screen. Him coming to the outside. You've got lead blockers up by the receivers. It's get the ball in the hands, even behind the line of scrimmage, to an athlete like Reggie Bush and see what he can do with it.
Fifth 300-yard pass season for Breeze. But it's been the running game on this drive. Mike Bell thrown to the deck by Beeson. Picked up 2.
And what this type of running game does for Drew Brees, unlike years past, is now the play fakes. Now that he can't just drop back and wing it with the talent that he has, but the play action fakes and how that can affect the secondary of the Carolina Panthers. Now they're spreading it out. They've got their 3 wide receiver package in. He may like this matchup on Shockey down here.
He likes Meacham, who was just trying to cover the ball up. And he's down to the 15.
Same play they scored on. He may very well check to that. The first time he did it, couldn't tell whether he was doing that or not. Looks like Meacham now. Looks like maybe he's just cramping up a little bit. Meacham is down here on the ground. Obviously, he's trying to keep that calf stretched out. I think he's just tying up. Again, he's in the slot. Just the 3 verticals the same way. Again, Marshall needs to get more of a jam on Meacham. He needs to carry him down the field more rather than think that the corners are going to fall off and make that play.
Big game for Meacham. He had the 54-yard touchdown catch. He now has 5 receptions for 98 yards. So while they work on him, we step out. 6:15 to play in New Orleans. We're tied at 20.
Today's game is sponsored by Verizon Football Zone with live games and highlights right on your phone, only on VCast from America's most reliable wireless network.
Meacham able to jog off the field. He's okay. 2 yards shy of 100 receiving yards on the day. 6:09 and running. Saints have it 1st and 10 at the 16. Thomas still on his feet. You know, to give you an idea of how dramatically different, and we've talked about it all day, this Saints offense is this season the 3rd best rushing team in the NFL. Pierre Thomas did not have a carry the first 2 games of the season. If you add in his 29 rushing yards in the fourth quarter today, he has run for almost 190 fourth quarter yards, fifth most in the NFL. When's the last time you said that about a Saints back?
Absolutely. And Deuce McAllister was the last time they had anything 3 years ago, and they're thrilled to have that presence back.
Breeze. Touchdown. No, they're saying he didn't hang on. Boy, Colston has had a hard time bringing in passes from Breeze today at 2 drops in the first half, and that looked like a sure touchdown.
Well, last year, Marcus Colston, one of the injuries was a wrist injury, and you saw more of that out of Marcus Colston than you'd have thought. And there, the fans are yelling for a challenge. I don't know that they're the most viable source right now. Sean Payton's listening to his guys up in the booth, trying to decide what happened. They evidently have a shot probably that says no, he did not have control. Remember now, you got to come down with it. You got to go to the ground with the ball. There can't be any bobbling of it. And right now, Sean Payton wants to check, it looks like. Let's get another couple looks at this.
Well, Drew Brees is trying to talk him into challenging, and he talked him into it. All right, Brian Billick, we got a lot of things going on. We start with the play in the back of the end zone that was challenged.
After reviewing the play, the receiver must maintain possession of the ball going to the ground. He did not. Therefore, the ruling on the field is correct. The pass is incomplete. New Orleans is charged. Another timeout.
The key part of that, Tom, is he's got to have possession to the ground. He's got the ball. Both feet are in. But now as the ball hits the ground, it comes out. He does not have possession. That's a good call.
And, of course, while they were debating whether or not to challenge the call, they let the play clock nearly expire, forcing a timeout. Then they challenged, and by losing the challenge, they lost a second timeout.
He's getting a lot of information here, and by calling the timeout, then challenging, he's lost 2 timeouts. That could come back and bite you in the backside later in the game.
Well, more importantly now, 3rd and 6. Breeze, the screen, Thomas, lots of daylight. And he's leveled at the 4, but it's 1st and goal. Flag down all the way back at the 15. This is holding.
Holding. Offense. Number 73. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Right here, he just hooks him. Obviously going down is wide open as the official's going to see that. Hooked him and turned him. There's no question on the holding call. That's a big play now, taking you back out of what was inside your 5-yard line.
That's Jari Evans, the right guard. They're touting him as a Pro Bowler this season.
And right now, I tell you, Sean Payton's frustrated because he was getting a lot of help on that challenge from the booth on the field and mishandled it by way of calling the timeout and throwing the flag.
3rd down and 16. Into traffic. In and out of the hands in the end zone of Colston, who appears to be shaken up. Oh, he's all right.
Well, that's the kind of faith Drew Brees has with Marcus Colston to go ahead and throw it right back into that spot. Nice job. There's a lot of bodies around there. That's a heck of a throw.
Well, hit him right in the hands.
Yeah.
Again.
He just couldn't bring it down. There's just too many bodies. They hit there, push there, hit from behind. There's a lot of bodies pushing and shoving there.
40-yard field goal try by John Carney to give New Orleans the lead. It is good. So the Saints in front by 3, 4:36 to go. Carolina gets the football when we come back. What a game in the NFC South. The Saints unbeaten on the year in front of Carolina, 23-20, still 4:36 left to go. And, well, Coach, you talked about the confidence we heard from John Fox in Carolina. Despite being 3-4, going up against this unbeaten Saints team, they played very well, but can they now deliver?
Well, they're going to have to do it a little bit with the passing game. They're going to continue to pound away. That 8-man box isn't going to scare them, but it's going to present some opportunities that I think they're going to have to take advantage of in terms of the play-action fake and throwing it down the field.
What a very impressive drive, even though it didn't end all that pretty for the Saints. A drive which began their own 2-yard line. After the penalty on second down inside the 10, it wound up being a 76-yard drive that took nearly 7 minutes. And the Saints, for the first time today, have the lead. Can this defense now make it stand?
Well, that's that. In the past years, they have not. This defense is capable of it. I'm not sure we won't see that play-action pass right here on the first play, because everything leading up to it says it should probably be a run.
You called it play action, but an underneath throw to Tyrell Sutton, and the rookie out of Northwestern playing in his first NFL game, has showed himself quite nicely here today.
And with the way they're running the ball, these little play actions, look down the field, not there, drop it off to the back. There's yardage to be made there. That can be an extension of your running game. We're going to probably need to see a little more from Carolina in that regard, along with a strong running game.
They pitch it to D'Angelo Williams. He turns the corner, steps out of bounds. Pretty nice pickup on first down for Williams. Well, the injury a short while ago to Thomas Davis. And they now will take him off on a cart, and we certainly wish him the best. Well, Jabari Greer is out of the game, the starting corner. He was injured the last drive. Randall Gay has replaced him. Number 20. Play action. DeLone underneath to Barnage. And that's a Carolina first down to the Saints' 45-yard line.
And you spent the whole game running the ball, to set this very thing up. Jake Delhomme doing a nice job executing Jeff Davidson's calls with regard to, we're going to keep pounding away, but these play fakes are going to stretch this New Orleans Saints defense to where this little drop-off route to a tight end or a back is going to yield good yardage for us.
1st and 10. Little delay to Jonathan Stewart. And he's tripped up down to the 42-yard line. Now again, just to remind you, John Casey, the Carolina kicker who has had such a great career, perhaps a Hall of Fame career, tweaked a groin a couple of weeks ago. Blitz coming. Looking for Smith. Incomplete. Well, they take that coverage all day long, Carolina would, but Smith didn't know it was coming or either lost the ball in the lights.
Well, it's some kind of miscommunication. He wasn't sure where the ball was coming. Jake was all the way down the field looking for a vertical. Steve Smith looked like he didn't even know the ball was on the way. That the coverage was high. I didn't think you were going to me.
Well, this is 4 down territory, trailing by 3 here. Wouldn't you think?
Yes, and particularly with a team that's willing to run it the way, although this alignment right here would indicate it's going to be a pass unless someone motions back in to run it.
Malcolm Jenkins got tied up with Dwayne Jarrett in coverage, 4th down. And with 2:51 to go, the Panthers do have 2 timeouts left.
Well, you got the matchup you want. Dwayne Jarrett's got the size, but there's just not the accuracy of the throw. When you see a Drew Brees make that type of throw, back shoulder, right on the shoulder of the receiver, Jake Delhomme having to just kind of throw up a jump ball, hoping that the size of a Dwayne Jarrett could go up and come down with it.
4th down. Delhomme sacked by Will Smith. And the celebration begins.
Just beaten on the backside. Jake Delhomme having to hold it. Everything collapsing around him. He's looking desperately for someone to get the ball to. And the pocket that's just too long to ask for it to hold up. Now, Carolina, they've got 2 timeouts left. If they can hold them, they got 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. If they can hold them to not getting a first down, they're going to get this a chance with the ball back in their hand.
Yep. I think the crowd realized that quickly too. They give it to Thomas. Tackled by Beeson, a loss of 2, and they'll spend a timeout. Still lots of football left in this one. It's not been your typical Saints offensive kind of game. Yes, Brees has thrown for the 330 yards. He's been intercepted. He's also fumbled.
And what's missing from there is Jeremy Shockey and Marcus Colston in terms of your top receivers. So, again, it shows you if you want to take those guys away, we'll go to some of these other guys. Now, with 2:38, obviously Carolina will burn its last timeout after this play. Then take us down to the 2-minute warning they're going to have unless New Orleans can get a first down. They should have a 2-minute drive, all but with no timeouts.
Brees back to the huddle. Mike Bell checks into the backfield for the Saints. And out of the I formation, it's David Thomas in front of him. And they give it to Bell. Picks up 2.5, maybe 3. And the timeout is spent by the Panthers. Clock stops, 2:33 to go. And 3rd down and long upcoming for the Saints. You've had the best offense in the league the entire season so far. We're midway through this 09 year. Do you get conservative here on 3rd and on 8 yards to go if you're Sean Payton?
Well, with 2:33 on the clock, you throw a pass and it's incomplete, you have given the Carolina Panthers a whole bunch more time because now you're letting the 2-minute warning fall into their play call. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because they'll have the ball. So as much as you want to throw it, now they'll probably give you the opportunity. They'll probably give you a matchup to throw it down the field, and it might be even a big play. But it's going to come at a cost with regards to giving Carolina the 2-minute warning and time to make a play.
All right, I'm putting you on a spot right now. You've been a play caller for a Super Bowl champion. If you're the Saints, are you throwing right now?
No, I'm going to run the ball because I believe now in my defense. If I punt it against this Carolina offense, you got to show me you can go the length of the field inside 2 minutes.
And Brees throws it. And it's incomplete, and they only burned a total of 4 seconds off the clock by throwing. Niall Diggs put the pressure on Brees.
And that was the key here. At the last minute, pressure coming from the outside. They bring a total dog. That's a heck of a call on Ron Meeks' part. Pressure come right down the middle. What do we say it all the time, Tom? Where does a quarterback hate pressure most? Right down the middle in his face.
Well, Brian Billick, you said it. If they decided to throw, and if they threw an incomplete pass, it's like giving Carolina nearly another 35, 40 full seconds of this possession. A possession which starts at the 2. Malcolm Jenkins was the first one there, and Roby was right behind him.
Now, you know what? I'm not sure I wouldn't have challenged that. Does he step it? He cannot be the first man to touch the ball coming in out of the end zone. That should be brought out to the 20-yard line.
Of course, he stepped out of the end zone, but then it looked like he got both feet back in bounds to reestablish position.
I don't know. I don't know that wouldn't be worth a challenge, because it looked like he had his feet in the end zone when he made contact with that ball.
But, of course, they're out of timeout.
Right. Doesn't do you. You're right. At that point, there's nothing you can do now.
Ball is loose. Saints have it. No signal for a touchdown. Hold on a minute. D'Angelo Williams fumbled the football and is still down on the ground. Touchdown, Saints. It's Anthony Hargrove who will get credit for the touchdown. How about that in your first NFL start? He stripped it and picked it up and scored. So the point after will make it a 10-point spread at the 2-minute warning. Saints 2 minutes away from an 8-0 start.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by AT&T. Your world delivered.
Talking about Malcolm Jenkins with Greg Williams, a defensive coordinator. Jenkins, of course, a first-round pick this year from Ohio State, and he's had an injured ankle pretty much the entire year, just now getting back in the flow of things on defense. But the play a moment ago was his 5th big play on special teams. And a lot of rookies, I don't care if you're first-round or fifth-round coach, that's what you got to do.
Absolutely, and it asks a lot of a first-round draft choice to do that on special teams. They're high on this guy, and obviously that athleticism we just saw is the reason.
Of course, this play on that punt a moment ago forced the Panthers to start that last drive from a 2. Now let's go back to Jenkins' play to start with. And you brought up being out of the end zone and then coming back in.
Right. The rule says if you step in the end zone, and he clearly does there, you have to reestablish yourself. And with that foot right there, clearly he did. Had he not reestablished himself as he comes in here, you can see first he's got his right foot and left foot. Right foot now, he's out in the field of play, both feet, established himself. He was able to touch it. The officials got it right, and now this sets up obviously the fumble. He was not down. Huge play by the New Orleans Saints defense to seal the win.
Still a minute 55 to play. And incomplete on a throw to Barnage. Good coverage by Shanley. This Carolina team, that fumble and then returned for a touchdown, remarkably, is the 6th return for a touchdown on a Carolina turnover this year. And for the New Orleans Saints defense, that is their 7th defensive touchdown. That is 2 more than the Cleveland Browns offense.
Well, I don't want to combine the words New Orleans defense and Cleveland Brown offense in the same sentence. I really don't. Now, as you're going to see here, Tom, you got to look forward just a little bit. You can see in terms of the Carolina Panthers, they've got a hill to climb here. As it stands right now, they've got the second highest winning percentage remaining on the schedule of the teams they're playing. The Saints, the lowest in the National Football League. They've got to go on the road, but it's on the road to St. Louis, Tampa Bay, and the Washington Redskins. That's a pretty good lineup for the New Orleans Saints.
Delhomme throws, caught by Smith, his first big reception today. And that takes him down to the 30-yard line. Where's that been all day, Panther fans are asking.
You know what? And you had three guys on him. I don't know whether there's much else that Greg Williams can do, but put three people deep on Steve Smith, and still he comes up with the ball.
Delhomme on a crossing route to Dwayne Jarrett. And he spun down at the 20. That'll be another first down, but the clock continues to roll at 1:05. And no timeouts for the Panthers. Jarrett again. Clock stops with 46 ticks remaining. Of course, when you think about the Saints, should they hang on here to go to 8-0, it would be the first time in franchise history, 43 years franchise history, they're 8-0. At St. Louis, at Tampa Bay. No win, no game is a gimme. But everybody's eyeing that November 30th game on a Monday night here against New England.
And then the rematch with Atlanta at Atlanta.
Catch made by D'Angelo Williams, and he'll step out of bounds. I mean, you know, logic would tell you, Coach, and again, you never take any game for granted. You know that better than anybody. But, I mean, it very much looked like Sean Payton's team, players beginning this week to talk a little bit about going undefeated. And, you know, I really like the attitude that a local columnist had here. You know, when people started getting on him about talking about going undefeated. What do you want your players to say? We're going to go out and get beat?
Absolutely, and you want them to embrace that, but you got to focus on it one at a time. You can't go undefeated if you don't beat the team you're playing this week.
Well, they hand it off. And Williams down to the 3-yard line, down to 35 seconds. Our game produced by Bob Stenner, directed by Rich Dewey. Our associate director, Neil Gallo, and our broadcast associate, Bill Cullen.
Just kill the clock here.
The senior producer at Fox Sports, Bill Brown. Our executive producers, Fox Sports, Ed Gorn and David Hill. We thank Scott Snyder, Tom Barbary up here in the booth. And, Coach, nice to be back with you after a 3-week hiatus.
Well, we missed you. This is the time now. It's not just the time it takes to score. I got to get the onside kick, and I got to give myself a chance to get in the field goal. So I don't know that you can afford a run here, even though it might be something to slip in. You pretty much got to take your 2 shots to the end zone.
Quick slant broken up by Sharper, who leads the NFL with 7 interceptions. If he tries to catch that one instead of bat it, that would have been his 4th return for a touchdown.
And that's the veteran experience of Sharper knowing, I know you're going to Steve Smith. I'm going to jump this thing. He'd like to have just that half step more. He'd have been out the gate for a pick 6.
He's already had this year 2 90-plus returns for touchdowns on interceptions. He and Deion Sanders, the only players in the history of the league to do that in the same season.
I'm not sure Carolina doesn't try to run a quick trap in here.
In and out of the hands of Williams, and that is that. Gutsy effort today by Carolina, no doubt about that.
Absolutely, and they don't want to hear that right now, but this was a heavyweight match, and I promise you, the New Orleans Saints are going to need a couple days off This was a physical football team, or a football game. And you talked about embracing that undefeated attitude. I was on a team that went 15-1. There is nothing good comes from a loss. But I tell you what, there is an emotional toll of going undefeated, or at least trying to, that I'm not sure that you're not better off losing that one game, but you're not going to capitulate anything. I'll take the undefeated season.
43 years of his franchise, a first, an 8-0 start. In 91, they went 7-0 to match their start before this game today. Final score, New Orleans 30, Carolina 20. And we're back to the Superdome. You're watching the NFL on Fox. (30-20) the final. The Saints go to 8-0 on the year. The 7-word recap brought to you by the new simplified Windows 7. We're going to simplify this game to 7 words. Breeze plays great. Saints win 8 straight.
That's 7 words.
That's a 7-word recap brought to you by the new simplified Windows 7. Promotional considerations provided by the following. I'd like to remind you, coming up next on Fox, Brothers, except on the West Coast, and at 7:30 tonight Eastern Time. It's American Dad, followed by Family Guy at 8. At 8:30, a special Family Guy presents Seth and Alex's Almost Live comedy show, followed by another episode of Family Guy. Then 9:30, the Cleveland Show. Next week, a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. It all begins at noon Eastern. Check local listings for the games and times in your area. For coverage of this game and all the National Football League, go to foxsports.com or NFL.com. For Brian Billick and our entire crew, Tom Brenneman saying thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day and a great weekend.
Fox Sports thanks you for watching this presentation of the National Football League. The NFL is online at www.nfl.com.
You've been watching Fox Sports in HD, presented by DirecTV.